Hello, 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 and welcome to the NaPodcast with me, your host, Kevin Mclean. That's right, I am back in the chair for our final installment of our special series for National Poetry Writing Month. That's right, it is NaPoWriMo, and we have finally come to the end. When you are watching this, it will already be May. You are done and free. Congratulations if you did it, if you were successful in whatever your endeavor was for NaPoWriMo, and if you didn't, no worries. Like, it is what it is. I hope you got something beneficial out of it. If this is your first time checking out the NaPodcast, then thank you for stopping by. If you're checking us out on YouTube, please do hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a huge amount, and we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, we would really appreciate it if you could rate or review and give us a wee follow, whatever platform that is. They have no consistent thing, so we can't have a nice soundbite, but you know, do your thing. Yeah. This week, we have been focusing on univocalisms, and like I said, it is the final week, but there will be more to come. I'm going to do a little tease. We're going to be talking about something at the end of the show about what we're going to be doing going forward, because like I said, it's the end of National Poetry Writing Month. And so, as I said, we are here to chat univocalisms, and I am joined by the ever best dressed gem herself, Beck Sherwood, Mark, happy as a clam that can galley, and no doom or gloom, only joy of words, because Dr. Katie Ailes on Zoom. That's right, we are doing univocals, people. Get on board. Ooh. Guys, how did you all do? Katie, you look overjoyed, so I'm gonna swing to you first. How was Univocal?
That's my new bio for everything. What, no doom or gloom, only joy, or so? Yes.
Only joy of words.
Only joy of
Dr.
words.
Katie Ailes. You don't have one vowel. Bex and Gally had one. It was a whole thing. You ruined it, Kate, without even knowing.
I'm the worst. Yeah, Univocal week was I mean, really univocal day for me. I had a bit of a mad week. Not to flex, but to flex, I went viral on Twitter, so that was weird. So I had a strange week and wrote my univocal in a day. I'm just gonna say that up front, but it was fun. Once I started, it was fun.
A week of ups and downs for Katie.
It really was.
Do go and follow Katie on Twitter. Someone mistook her for a Scottish person on Twitter, which I think is probably the biggest compliment you could receive. Gally, how did you get on this week?
Game of two halves. This time. Didn't start amazing. Was very much struggling, but then thankfully had a moment where something clicked. Went, I could do that, and then that sort of like fleshed out eventually. Not easily. It wasn't like a I've got it moment, but it was a that'll work kind of.
Nice.
I'm not gonna. I won't say fun because I'd done univocal. This is boring. It was boring for me, frankly.
Don't say fun. It is still poetry, so you know.
Yeah. But like not bad. Not the worst week of NaPoWriMo. So I'm glad to at least not be going out on a low.
Good to hear. And the one and only Beck Sherwood. You've smashed every other week. I take it this was another breeze for you, Bex?
Obviously it's fine. No, it was good. I did have a good week. I did it over a couple of different sessions. I got pretty far straight away. That was good. And then at a later date, I went and kind of finished it. But I wanted to make, I had time, so I made it. I've done like stanzas. They're all consistent in the number of lines. It's like organized and tells a narrative. Yeah, I really like it. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to sharing it.
Mine isn't capitalized.
Oh, well, that's because you're an amateur, Mark.
Oh, and it might have taken us 5 weeks, but we finally got the knives out.
The truth has been revealed. I love you, Mark. You're not an amateur. You're really good.
Well, it is lovely to hear that you all got on so well. For my part, I had a much better week this week than last week. Those that were here for last week's episode will know Kev was on the struggle bus. But this week, it was probably the easiest since concrete for me to kind of like pour something out. It came together really nicely. I managed to get a video out midweek. And for the first time time, I got to enjoy the build up to this weekend because I wasn't panic ridden over having not finished a poem. So that was lovely. But before we get into all of your guys' wonderful work from this week, and if you're interested in seeing what I accomplished, you can click on the eye in the corner of the screen and you can check out that video after this. But before we get there, we are going to have one from a really good friend of Loud Poets. We love him dearly. He has been a long-term musician for us, and he's a wonderful writer, as we kind of discovered, what one for a long time through his lyrics. The dude's, beautiful work. But also because last year he swung into NaPoWriMo with us. He was part of the collection that we released on Patreon, which you can still get if you want to check out all the work from the gang last year. If you sign up to the Patreon, you get a whole bunch of cool stuff. So do go and check that out. It supports us, helps us do all this stuff. Jack was part of that last year, and he's been taking part again this year. So we're really excited to share some of his work on the show. And I think, Katie, you were gonna read one of Jack's NaPoWriMo poems for us, right?
I am going to give it a go. Yeah, as Kev said, Jack has been amazing through NaPoWriMo. I believe he did, as Kev was saying, the same last year. He just completely conquered NaPoWriMo and did every day.
Yeah, it was really annoying.
Maddening human being.
Curse you, Jack Hinks.
And it was the same with Georgia Bartlett McNeil, just to give her a shout out as well. The two of them were posting on Instagram every day of NaPoWriMo. So huge shout out to both of those amazing writers. But yeah, I'm going to share Jack's poem from day 24. He was just titling them by days. And just quite a visceral piece, which I love. So yeah, this is day 24 from Jack Hinks. The ache creeps across like burning minerals, singeing the source, discarding the host, leaving marks like scorched earth. I awake in the night believing I am drowning. Bracelet digging into my heel as the cannonball holds me still, a depth charge, weaponized without consent. A world engulfed in bruises, inaudible highs as the sun is swallowed 2 inches below the surface by thick, cold nothing. A silent cacophony, robbing me of air when the waves dance over my head, leaving me compressed, saturated, 10,000 parts water, a poor solution for land-based devils. When I fall asleep, as the morning comes, I take to my feet and pray to my sink, crack tiles with my knees and spit salt down the drain. Back to the ocean. So that was Jack's poem, and I think he you can particularly see it in his video for Fabric, his song Fabric, which we can link below as well. He's so great at those sort of visceral, physical, sensory pieces of art. So thank you so much to Jack for sharing your work with us all throughout the month.
I find Jack's ability to kind of code switch between lyric writing and poetry writing really impressive. Like there's something both very distant from lyrics in his writing in terms of it. There is he doesn't rhyme often and stuff. He it's these kind of standalone lines, but within those there's something very lyrical in terms of a lack of a clear narrative and more of a kind of walking through an emotional state, or walking through a kind of state of being in a single moment. It's a really nice taking some key parts from lyric writing and merging it into what he does with poetry is really beautiful.
Sorry, no, Bex. Yes.
I was just going to say, I think we should change Mark's names to Mark's like Scorched Earth.
Oh, it was great. That was one of my favorite lines. No idea why.
It was pretty good.
Well, I suppose like what you say about like lyric to poem writing as well, because there's bits in here that I can almost hear Jack singing in a song that doesn't exist, is like so like unique and powerful as his voice. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to the songs that Jack releases coming out in NaPoWriMo.
I'm really looking
Right.
forward to Jack's first poetry album. It's gonna be so good. Oh,
Yes.
Jack, get on it.
Yes.
Sorry to give you more work to do.
We've had him so many times as like Loud Poets, as a musician. We should have
We should book him as a
like,
guest.
as a poet.
Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
amazing.
Watch out for that
Yes.
email, Jack.
Yes. As I hypothesize live on the show. Thank you so much to Jack Hinks for writing and taking part in NaPoWriMo. It means a huge amount to us when we see people getting inspired by us kind of putting this stuff out and they take up the challenge. It's very cool to see. If you have been writing, and I've seen a bunch of you are, like I said, congrats. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us, for letting us share it on the show. And please do continue to send us stuff. Like we're big poetry fans. We love seeing poetry. So please do, leave it in a comment, fire it in an email, send us, on Twitter or whatever. It'd be lovely to see your work, especially if you tackled univocalism at any point. Because I think univocals are such a wonderful tool, actually, having done one specifically for this NaPoWriMo, the sound assonance, the kind of internal rhymes they lean into, all of that can be really powerful when you hit it right. And I'm fascinated to see what the gang have put together for us. So Bex, how you were saying you're pretty confident you smashed the week. How did you approach putting your univocal together?
So I got some initial, I tried to find some cool lines that were all univocal, but I will confess my biggest tactic for writing a univocal was going, I really want to use this word, but there's no e's in it. So I'm going to Google synonyms for this word and see if there are any that have e's in it. I went with E, by the way, spoiler alert. But yeah, so that was my main tactic. And because it was E, it worked really well. It meant that I got everything with ED on the end. I got he and she, which became the kind of voice for the poem, was in that kind of objective third person. Is that right? Am I saying correct? Kay looks impressed. I think I'm good. But yeah. Should I share mine? I'm really excited because also I know that we're all going to geek out because it's a vampire univocal. All of us, well, not Katie, but Kev, Mark, and I all play a Vampire the Masquerade role-playing game. I love it. It's been a great part of my life. We're really cool.
I just make fun of them for being nerds.
Yeah, I felt like I've been excluded from all of the wrestling stuff, so thus it's only fair that I wrote a poem that excluded someone in the group. So sorry, Katie. It's just fair, right?
Yep.
Right, so I'm gonna do my univocal. Nerves steeled, gentle breezes she freezes, expert. She reflects, tested, never bested, yet she needs strength. She's hellbent, has senses extended, detects flesh. Stench fresh, 20 meters west. Feet creep, step, 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 creak. He seeks. Yells between green trees, perplexed, he greets. Eyes meet. She pretends. Shyness, mystery, cherry red cheeks, eyes well. She embezzles help. He melts, kneels, gentle tenderness. He feels blessed, serene scene, clement speech, synergy, glee. He rests. Then she descends. Teeth meet neck, shreds flesh, helpless. He trembles, wrestles, feebly defends. He sleeps. Bleeds plenty. She feeds. Prevent frenzy. Energy swells, refreshed. She's checks. He's met the end. Self-resentment. She regrets, never repents. She flees.
Wow.
Oh,
That's so cool.
That's creepy.
I love how much you've swung into horror this month, Bex.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
I really like it. Horror's basically comedy if you just remove the joke.
Yeah, right.
Which is very easy for me because
Replace
I'm
it with
not funny.
spoop.
Yeah, spoopy.
Mark, you are obviously in our Vampire the Masquerade game that we play. Also, if you've never RPG'd and you're wondering what we're talking about, it's so much fun. It's like Dungeons and Dragons is the one everyone will know. Give RPGing a go. If you enjoy poetry and writing and storytelling, man, it's so up there with it. And Vampire the Masquerade is a great game. But Mark, yeah, you're in the game. Was it? Do you feel that? Was that a good depiction of this kind of
Oh, it was a
feeding from the
fantastic.
vamps.
Oh, fantastic depiction. And when you said it was like vampire, my first thing was like, well, vampires got A and E's and an I, so good luck. But yeah, that was cracking as well, especially for going like, I feel like slightly in the in crowd, knowing the sort of like what that probably refers to in its sense as well. But even without knowing that, it's a very fun and interesting and creepy narrative. And I get what you're saying when you were like, you really wanted to use certain words and things like that, and E lends itself to that really nicely. And again, just like what Kev was saying, and I love univocals for their assonance and rhyme that can go through it. And I think you've matched that really well with all that's going on. Good job. Very good.
I totally agree with you, Mark. It's so interesting when you see someone like, I think the way it's you have to dance around, right? Like univocal in its restriction makes you make interesting choices, and it goes into something we were talking about, horror, where you're like, showing the monster it kind of gives away too much. Saying vampire or any word that we associate with it, when that's taken away, right? Like bloodsucker can't use, vampire can't use, kindred can't use, right? Like what do? We'll never say it. Show it, right? Show, don't
it's
tell.
pretty clear by the end, right?
but it's interesting how we often forgive writing for telling, not showing, because you're always telling, right? It's writing, but you're like, no, you can still inform. Like vampire lore or fiction is such a permeates through the zeitgeist. It like everyone knows what you're talking about there, and it's nice to see you really be able to do that, to tug at certain pieces of imagery that fill in those gaps. Yeah, Kate, your thoughts? Oh, sorry, Gally.
No, sorry,
Go
I just
back
wanted to jump
yourself.
off of something real quick, just to what you said. That just because like the universal sort of like idea of vampires, and I like that it works better into that it's the word that's not said, and like through all these myths and legends, you go into the lore. And it would be like that fear of the word. They'd be like, the night. So it's the reason they had all these synonyms for things. They would never say the word because it brought fear. And so I think not saying it comes back into it's enhancing the fear of the word. But it ties
if you're
It's
more informed about the game as well, you'll know that it's called Vampire the Masquerade for a reason. The masquerade of being vampires in secret is kind of integral to the theme of the game, hiding. And so like not saying it reinforces the fundamental like theme of the thing you're referencing. Very cool. We could wax lyrical about how it ties lovely into our fantasy world of horror, but that's for later on after the podcast, as we have a game tonight. Shout out Sam Thorne, Sam Bidgood, and Perry Johnson, our fellow RPGers. But Katie is not a huge RPGer. What are your outsider thoughts?
No, I thought that was brilliant, and yeah, sort of as all of you guys were saying, I think it's so much more powerful to not use the word vampire and to not actually directly name the monster, as we were saying last week too. And I think there's something so great about univocals in that limitation of words and how it forces you to be creative in certain ways. Like I love that line. I think you had the phrase embezzle flesh, which is like embezzled help. Oh, and then my brain just made up a different phrase. But it is so interesting what that restrictive vocabulary does to you and does to your creativity. And so I think while univocal poems are a challenge, they really force your mind to innovate and to use vocabulary that you normally wouldn't necessarily use, which is fantastic.
It's trying to be concise but descriptive is like the key to univocal, because if you try and do too many words, you're gonna absolutely screw yourself over. But if you can keep it like, describe it in the most simple basic of terms, even if it's not really accurate, like that's fine, as long as it gets the gist across.
Every univocal ends up sounding like breathy, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to explain your point at the end of a run. Embezzle help, find the thing. You're trying to like get out the message that you can't get in. It's quite a nice the conciseness. Kate, I know you've done because I haven't heard your poem, but I know you've done something a bit interesting with it. Do you want to like give us a bit of a insight into what you're looking at?
I will. I'm just gonna get out in front of this. Y'all are gonna say I cheated. For two different reasons.
Is that because you've cheated?
No. But y'all are going to say it. And so I want to just
explain yourself, Ailes.
Right. So In my Univocal workshop, which folks may have seen or may have taken, I proposed a kernel of an idea for a poem, and I sort of laid out what it I laid out what that poem might look like. I did not write that poem at the time, but the concept had a birth out with NaPoWriMo.
Well, that's a very poetic way to say I started before April.
I did write the whole poem yesterday, and this morning, full disclosure. The other reason you will say that I cheated is because technically this is a duo vocal poem, but the poem is rooted in the concept of univocality.
As long as the idea's there, I guess it doesn't matter what letters we really use.
I'd say my univocal poem is influenced by 5 other forms of univocal that use A, E, I, O, and U. So it sounds like it's free verse, but actually it's 5 univocal poems in one.
I've made up some extra vowels in mine. That's
invented a whole bunch of new words.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll do the poem, and then you guys can judge whether I should be.
We will.
Yeah.
Whether I should be voted off this island. I would understand. But yeah, I'll just sort of do it, and if you've seen the Univocal workshop, you'll sort of get the central conceit, and hopefully, if you haven't, you'll get the conceit pretty quickly. It's called Theirs. Their beginning, setting, dive, Inverness. His drink, dry gin with fizz. Hers, deep, velvety reds. His firm chin, thirsty lips. Her green eyes, berry red cheeks. They're inspecting. His slim wrists, pinky ring, trilby. Her belted dress, sexy heels, fresh cherry scent. They're like. His timid flirting, her keen cleverness. His vim, her zest, their desire. Their whispered enticements. Her rented tenement, his high-rise. Their electric excitement, lipsticked kisses, nimble fingers, shirtless reverie, feisty, frenzied, glistening, their trembling relief. Her glee, his bliss, their delight, their wide smiles. Their 8th evening intertwined, their 18th, 25th, their spirited intensity, their prized epithets, sweetie, princess, their veggie diet, their hipster piercings, their expensive investment, refined residence, splendid pier view, nice fire pit, their cherished blessing, their settling, their emerging differences, his itching cynicism, her wretched eggshell nerves, his nightly whiskey, stinking midnight spliffs, her resentment, his hissy fits, her restless stress, lesser self-esteem, their pissed bickering, their sensitive belligerence, their selfishness, his illicit trysts, her secret texts, their experienced lies, their twisted, veiled deceit, their incensed enlightenment, their seismic strife, their yelling, explicit, piercing shrieks, wielding fiery jibes, fierce swipes, his insipid digs, shrill, bitchy, clingy, prissy, her jeers, repellent, lewd jerk, their reviling enmity, their tired yielding, fried, their stewing ire, their hellish bitterness, his drifting, her dejectedness, their listless misery, their dire indifference, her feeble cheek pecks, his flinching, shrinking, their desire receding, their tepid tries, their feigned belief, their sincere deciding, their ending, their grief, their emptiness, their independence, his misgivings, her regrets. That's my poem.
Wow.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll let you off.
Yes!
Wow.
It's really
no,
good.
No, she cheated.
Oh, no, it doesn't
No,
count.
no.
Yeah, no, it doesn't count, but it's amazing.
No. I think it does count because each line, other than theirs, you know what I mean? The his were all I's, the hers were all E's. It was very like split. It's basically two poems that she's merged together. So I'm going to say it counts.
I think it's interesting because I think it's 3 because the lines where she has used both, every word contains both.
Yeah.
Which is such an.
I don't know why we're
is a
talking
way to
about you
keep
like you're
that
not here,
consistent.
Katie.
Goodbye.
But no, Kate, I think that's so impressive, and I think it is like we're messing around. Like obviously, like it doesn't count. You know, Katie's failed NaPoWriMo, but like it's all in good fun that we make fun of her for it. Like it's fine to fail, and so like. While technically that's, you know, the poem is wrong, like what it is still a very good poem. And that's why like all through this, I should stop, but all through this we have said like, you know, form should be a thing to help you. I'll get my golden shovels out. Form is a thing that is there to assist you, right? It's there to like all the things we were talking about, like that really interesting stuff in Bexy's, right? That limiting of vocabulary, making you think outside the box, reinforcing themes, great. If it doesn't lend to what you want to do, you can still part use it. I had an chat with Imogen Sterling on the Loudcast a few weeks ago, where like I was chatting to her about a poem that she starts and ends univocal, and it creates this really nice bookmarking to it and stuff. And I think when you look at something like that, there's a great example of not sticking to strict, rigid, you know, this is the rule, it's univocal.
My brain is so in univocal that I went strict, rigid, univocal, and I.
Yeah,
yes,
I've been noticing anytime anyone said, like Kev said, hiding, I was like, oh, that's a good one.
You know, instead actually like doing something far more creative. And I think what an incredible way to sum up from inception to end of not just a relationship, but like a big chunk of life, like from, you know, first date with someone to marriage, kids, all that time. Like that's incredible to do with such a limited word choice, and to find, because I know how hard it is to find univocal words that fit together, to find. And no, it seems inherently easier to find words that have 2 vowels, but to make sure they fit and that they all have that you can't go, well, I'll use just the E one here. That's discipline in writing. Very impressive. Mark, or Katie, sorry, go.
I would like to thank thesaurus.com and wordzone.net.
Boom.
Shout out. They don't sponsor us, but we'd like
God's
them
work,
to,
guys.
so.
Thanks.
They sponsor all poetry. Inadvertently.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gally, did you have thoughts on it?
Oh, I mean, I have many thoughts on it. It's a very it's an incredibly impressive piece. It's like very well executed. You have cheated, and it's not a univocal poem, but no, it really does. It goes back to a lot to what Kev said again. Who's going to like the idea of writing to univocal was to then the whole idea of NaPoWriMo and these ideas and the restrictions we put on ourselves that then end up freeing us from the thing. I'm like. You've ran with that idea fantastically, and it's bang like Kev said as well. I'm going like, I can't even give you that like going, oh well, I could have done if I had the 5 things together. That's far more impressive for me, because I know like how, like, again, just finding a univocal and making a univocal work to then have 3 separate word lists just to get that together. The organization.
I have so many Word docs open on my computer right now.
So to have that and to be able to create such a like such what a great narrative, and also like to be able to flesh it out. Like I know I'm next for the chopping block, but the like for you know, to be able to also expand upon it so well with, you know, I was like, yeah, they're like just very impressive. Very like, what was the review my mum gave me? Was like not uplifting but impressive. And I was just like, I'm like, oh. Like,
thanks,
yeah,
guys. No, it means a lot. Yeah.
Damn.
Bex, did you have thoughts on
Yeah,
Kate's
I think it
piece?
was interesting. We had some of the same words.
I
did
as I
notice
was
that.
listening to
And when
yours,
you
I was
did
like,
berry
ding,
red
ding.
cheeks, I did cherry red
Cherry
cheeks.
red
I had
cheeks, yep.
frenzy. I was like, yeah, but I think like we use them in completely different contexts, which is like, you know, how words work. I loved it. I thought it was so. It's classic Katie to be like, oh, this one restriction is too restricting. I'm going to ignore that and give myself 3 more distinct, harder restrictions.
That's
okay.
my vibe.
Okay, cool. But I do like duo vocalism. Ooh, it's fancy. Yeah, I really like your piece. I'm not going to harp on about how incredible you are because you already know.
One of the things I think is really good about univocalism, as maybe opposed to some of the other forms in this, is that when you're doing performance poetry, often form isn't your friend because, you know, like a sestina, you end up not reading it like a sestina. You read it like, you know, something else, or concrete is hard to present orally, and like, you know, that sonnets are very short, so maybe not ideal unless you're doing a kind of extended set of small pieces. Whereas univocal is one of the ones that like you can write entirely how you want to write it and present it in whatever rhythm and stuff you want to present it, but the form is very overtly present to the audience. And like, had you read there a univocal that didn't sound like a univocal, then we would probably rag on you for, well, you know, does that work? But the fact that it's so clear what you're doing, that you are, you know, I doubt everyone, if you just heard that, would go, oh, that's cool, his and her, and like, oh, I see, that's, you know, it works. So yeah, very impressive.
It just to sort of build on that, I think it's really interesting with talking about performance and univocals, because so much of the performance, or so much of that poem making sense relies on the performance. Like, especially in the early bit where I'm establishing the relationship and they're flirting, and I have like one of the lines is just like, they're like, and I have to perform it like, oh, they're eyeing each other up and like, oh, they're like. And I think if you were to just sort of read it on the page, it wouldn't make nearly as much sense. And so I think particularly with univocals, where you're so limited by the lack of certain vocabulary that would normally add in essential meaning, you have to overtly perform the meaning in that way.
Inflection becomes the key.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Gally, it's come to you, my friend. It is the last, no pressure, but it's the very last poem of NaPoWriMo, the main event, the big attraction, the main stage, as it were, Gally. So don't choke on it, right?
5 lines long. No. 5 lines long.
5 lines long. I did promise it would be short. But then next to Katie's, I feel like anything was going to be shorter.
Yeah, right.
I didn't intend to write a long poem, and then I kept finding words.
Yeah.
You wrote a really long poem, Katie.
But yeah, I kind of wish I'd picked E. Sounded like it would have had a lot more ability to do stuff. I decided I went with U because I was like, well, I've done O, and I was like, right, well, I'll do U because U seems one that's lesser done. I now know why that is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like not to like give myself the excuse of, you know, like, oh, I picked a more difficult one, but yeah, I definitely found U harder to certainly make a long one out of that makes sense. There's certain limiting factors. There's not a lot of, I don't know if this is, I don't know, there's not a lot of doing. Is it verbs? Is that the one? Not a lot of doing words.
You know how I remember that, Gally? By the song Teardrop by Massive Attack. Love is a verb, love is a doing word.
That's a great way to remember that.
Or you could, you know, be educated, I guess, but I don't have that option at this point.
That's also how I remember what verbs are.
Yeah, I went to primary school.
Wow. All right. Well, this yeah. So I'm not glad I went last for the, you know, all the pressure that comes with it, but I think this is.
There is a lot of pressure.
There is, but I think time-wise, this is an important message that needs to go out now, because say we're going into May, but that's not to date this, but stuff is beginning to open up. People are being allowed to go and do things, and so one thing that's been allowed recently open up is that gyms have reopened. And so I realized gym kind of doesn't, as like JYM, you can kind of cheat with that anyway, because that doesn't have any of the ones we count, don't have any of the real vowels in it. So I started with like the title first, which is weird for me, realizing that the term gym guy was a univocal in you.
Ooh.
So I've
alliterative.
Yeah, I've written a gym poem.
Nice. Oh, smash it, Gally.
So I guess, yeah. So here's gym guy. Gym guy pulls up. Full gym. Yummy mums, muscly hunks, burly bulls, plucky pups. Lusty scum lurk by bums and tums. Curvy club, full rumps, plump busts. Gym guy chunky, plump, husky. Runs. Run, huff, run, puff, run, lungs numb. Must cut chub, run, grunts, burly gruff hulks hurl junk, sturdy rugby lumps pump guns, bulky cult, gym guy, puny, runty, push-ups, push, 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 pull-ups, oh, fuck, jumps, jump, 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 sculpt, putty, sculpt, guts, crunch, sculpt, gym hunk, burns, but push, hurts, but must, push, pull, jump, crunch, push, pull, jump, crunch, push, pull, jump, crunch. Why? Hungry. Grub. Lunch. TLDR. Gyms suck.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god.
That was
Wow.
Gym Guy.
Amazing.
Oh
my gosh.
Gally, I will just say, before we dive into talking about your poem, my favorite this week is Beck's, because it's the only one that doesn't feel pointed, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was getting a bit concerned as Katie was getting to the end of her piece. I was like, guys, is everything all right? Like, I know you've been stuck in your flat and leave. Mark, that is so good. Oh,
that is incredible.
Amazing.
I think just the thing you were saying is bang on, of like it creates that sort of internal rhythm and sound, and like keeping that pace going, and like using your inflection and tone to drive in the sort of comedy and humor of it. And like, I think a thing you do very rarely, you were talking about it previously, is sort of repetition. And like, I kind of am the same, other than sort of exclusive cases. In my univocal, I don't think I use any of the words twice, other than kind of basic joining words. And that's a weird, sort of tick I have with my writing. But that, to get those repetitive actions, again, it leans into the theme, right? Your word choice is limited by you, but then pick a theme like gym, where you do repetitive actions that allow you to use this vocabulary consistent, these very visceral, short, bursty words, works so great for it. Bex, you
I literally had to like mute because I was laughing so hard. It's so good. Mark, I love that. That's such a good. I mean this in the biggest compliment ever. It's such a good poem that people who hate poetry would love that. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like, you know what I mean? People who like think, oh, poetry, no. But if they heard that, they would, absolutely die. Like, it's so good. I feel like it's gonna relate to like everyone, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's been that person in the gym, like, and like, yeah. I'm just very impressed by the amount of like actual Like, because you said it was short, but it wasn't that short at all. It's probably the same length as mine. And
The
it's
performance did
I'm
help me
very-
scale it out a bit. But
Just take some big breaths in between.
We
Some.
should
breaths.
we should definitely do a video of that with me in the gym and you doing the VO for it, guys.
well, it's actually it's interesting because it comes
There's
like
two guys.
There's two guys, yeah.
Well, yeah, because there's to the targeting and the thing, because weirdly, like, it wasn't Jim Guy wasn't the first one that actually came out. It was the idea of Jim Nut, and I was like trying to go through that, and I was like, I don't really care about the guy, like the portrayal, like, because I just wanted to be like a Jim Nut. I haven't been to the gym for ages. I've spent a lot of time in gyms in my past, but like not so much recently. I was like, I just didn't really care about the idea of Jim Nut. I was like Jim Guy, this, like, you know, the idea of getting started in the gym. I think that's something everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, especially now, I suppose, because like people will be going back, and I know I did some exercise like the other day and couldn't move for the entire day. And so it's like a lot of people are probably going to be feeling a bit more unfit or insecure in their bodies for it. So it's like, not anything against gyms. Gyms are great. Go get healthy. But, you know, there's a point of view that they suck.
Would you repeat the ways the first couple of lines? You do loads of descriptives of like the types of people you find in the gym. Would you repeat? There's like 4 of them, right? They were so good.
So there's the yummy mums,
mummy,
the yummy mums, muscly hunks, the burly bulls, the plucky pups, the lusty scum that lurk by the bums and tums. Or
it's so
club.
Just repeat. Just read the whole poem again. No,
no. My personal favorite is the burly gruff hunks that hurl junk. Because I've seen all these things happen, and I'm like, I don't think that was a thing you're supposed to throw. Just then go, what is throwing something? I'm like, is that you supposed to? Like,
such a good gym poem, Mark. It's
so
really great.
Good.
Thank you.
I think it's so excellent, and it's funny because. Yeah, I think you is probably the hardest choice for a univocal. I have heard very few poems. The only sort of long univocal poem I'm aware of is by Luke Wright, and I think it's called Burt Up Pub, and it's completely different. It's sort of this, like, if you know Luke Wright, you'll know he tends to be a bit like vulgar in his poetry, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like quite a crude poem about a guy in a pub, and this is great because it's so different, and you use somehow a totally different vocabulary, even though it's still in you, which is amazing.
Very lusty words with you. There's a lot of things I was like, ooh, no, I want to shy away from some of you. I was like, I figured I'd done enough
away from an overly sexual poem.
I'd done enough to use. I was like,
I love this poem, Mark. You should get it memorized and do it at gigs. It's great.
I think out of all of NaPoWriMo, I think this is the poem that I most immediately went, I can hear this on a stage really working amazingly.
I like this one as well. Like, weirdly, this is one of the ones that had the least editing. Like, I went through and changed some bits, but like comparably the least kind of editing.
I think to your point, Kate, I think all 4 like from this week have been ones that I think very much fit into the poet's wheelhouse of like, you should put that in your set list and stuff, like, which I haven't felt with all of them. Very, very cool. On that, like, I mean, this is kind of where we reach the end of our NaPoWriMo writing. How have you guys felt? I'm particularly interested in, you know, sort of comparatively to last year, how it's been for you. So we rounded off with you, Mark. So let's start with you here. How did this one go?
This one went, I think I would surmise in a more complicated way. I felt this one was easier in a lot of ways, in the majority of ways, harder in some very key and specific ways. And I think without the challenges that form particularly brought, I would have felt a bit cheaty about calling it, because, you know, full disclosure, I didn't write every day. You know, for each one I did do consistent writings, but oftentimes if I wasn't writing, I was at least thinking about a lot of them, just for because I liked being able to go back and work on them. I do like that we got to edit stuff, and it wasn't like a one and done. But I don't know, in a weird way, I feel I feel slightly like I haven't earned it as much, like not doing every day. I don't know, there's that weird thing of like, I'm not exhausted, I must not have done it right, which I don't think is a healthy attitude to have at all. But I've really liked some of the stuff I've come out with. I've liked some more than others. I think, I can see this one making it into the set quite nicely. And others I've got like a really exciting idea, like coming out of this, I'm really excited to do the stuff with the concrete that we spoke about 5 weeks ago that I've been thinking about in the back of my mind for ages. But I'm excited to I feel more prepared to carry momentum out of this NaPoWriMo, which I didn't at the end of last year. So while I'm not burned out, I must not have done it like that mentality. I don't think it's right for a number of very unhealthy ways, but I feel much better prepared to continue writing rather than having a one big yeah and then a sort of like lull and burnout. So I'm interested for what we do next year to hear whether it's still been ages of not using anything or whether it's actually been a better way of keeping the ball rolling.
Completely agree. I think there is that aspect to last year's NaPoWriMo. If it's a great achievement when you finish, you feel like but then you don't want to write anything, and you don't want to, so you lose that. It's never seemed to me of something that sets up a daily practice. I know that's maybe the idea behind it. Whereas this, and we we'll get to in a minute about how we're looking to carry on. This very much for me did set up I should be writing more, and I could write a poem every week or every couple of weeks or whatever, and maybe it's not going to be the best, but that repetition will improve. So I think that's a totally valid point. Kate, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I completely agree with the points that you both made. And I think just comparing numbers, last NaPoWriMo, I got about 5 poems out of it that I've really used and valued moving forward. And that was, but I wrote 25 poems, right? And this NaPoWriMo, I only wrote 5 poems, but I will definitely use them moving forward. And so I think, it's work smart, not hard, right? And it's I think poetry, absolutely, there are times when you can just write a poem in a couple of hours without having thought about it beforehand, and it's great. But really, I think for all of us, we've realized that it's really helpful to have poems stewing in the back of your mind and to be thinking creatively about form and to give yourself that time for it, even if you don't actually write it until the day before, to be conscious of the challenge and have things sort of marinating. So it's been really good for me. And I think a really good reminder as well, particularly on the end of a hard year, that it's great to be creative. Sorry, this is going to sound like, a little primary school thing. Creativity is great, guys. But I've massively enjoyed it, and having these challenges and having the creative chats and learning more about practice. I think that's incredibly valuable. So yeah. Happy camper.
I'm glad it has been good. I think it does come down to that thing of the poems you want to come out of it to be useful, and that's the best thing about that ratio, that time spent is then worthwhile. And it's like everything. I don't think we speak enough about in any form of writing how much that time is supposed to be research and thought and going through stuff. So it's good to also provide time, because you can't process properly stuff you're trying to complete in a day, right? Okay, wake up, think of an idea, start it. Oh, well, no time to change it, just draft and edit and get it out. Not the best way to do. So yeah, very, very cool. Bex, your experience, you were the leader of our NaPoWriMo endeavors.
Yeah, so
did we do good, boss?
Yeah, so it's I Am Loud's third year of NaPoWriMo. The first year was when I joined to set. I was like, I think I Am Loud should do NaPoWriMo, and Kev was like, I don't have time, and I was like, well, I'll do it. And I've worked with everyone ever since. The first year we posted prompts every day, but we didn't really write anything. The second year we all did we had the original sort of first version of these NaPoWriMo special, the podcast, whatever, and we all wrote quite a lot of poems. And this year has been like really successful. I feel like everyone's really learned a lot. All our writing is so, 2 years ago, the poems we would have produced in a NaPoWriMo compared to now is night and day. And the NaPoWriMo is a great opportunity to kind of experiment, which I really have been enjoying doing. I've done quite a lot of experimentation in the kind of normal stuff that I write. Probably I'm a bit sick of cows. I think that's probably what happened. And there's no more way else I can write about cows. So I've done it. And it's just nice to kind of catch up with you guys and chat poetry, because no one else cares about poetry. It's really hard. It's really because you go, oh, I wrote a poem, and they go, oh, nice,
That's
great.
nice.
Does it rhyme? And it's like, no dissing for rhyming poetry, but
no,
like,
but the meter is exquisite.
yeah, like, oh no, it's not.
It only has one vowel.
Yeah.
I think it's a super valid
It's a
point, though, Bex.
villanelle. It's just, yeah.
One of the things I've missed most in this sort of gigless period of time has been those conversations. I still watch a great deal of poetry, that hasn't gone away. People are still putting stuff out, but I don't have the same conversations I did. I don't have the same chatting about ideas and, I'd love to do something with that, and you could do this with it and that with it, and this like kind of chit chat. And it's been very cool to be able to do that through NaPoWriMo with you guys. And I think especially during the week when we're talking about how it's been going, I think not doing a daily thing means we don't get to our, sort of podcast and go, okay, we have to fire through 3-4 little poems each, and there's no real time to dive into it. Being able to like pick 3 and really like, go into them and how they're put together and find all that stuff's really cool. And that does bring me kind of onto a little special announcement that we get to make. So we have, like we said, I think it's clear we've all absolutely loved doing the NaPodcast, our NaPoWriMo special. And while obviously the Loudcast is going to be continuing with the lovely funding from National Lottery through Creative Scotland that we were overjoyed to receive, that is going to still be every 2 weeks, and it'll be me and a guest. The next one will be out on before you see this, I think, actually, won't it? Yeah, it will, because it's coming out tomorrow. So hopefully, if you're seeing this, go and check out the Loudcast, but with me and Kat Hepburn. Kat Hepburn, who's a phenomenal poet and writer and performer and promoter and all those wonderful things. She's a big part of Sonic Youth and the spoken word scene in Glasgow. So do check that out. That is going to be continuing. But we thought what we would do, because that's every 2 weeks, and obviously we don't have funding for this show. It's a lot to put it on every week. It's very fun for April, but it is difficult. So we thought what we might do is, rather than doing a NaPodcast special, we'll create a kind of new show that will come out every 2 weeks, the sort of opposite week of the Loudcast, and it's going to be Loud Poets Happy Hour, which is a kind of fun idea we've come up with, where we get that kind of time in the pub, right, that we're missing out on. And even when we get back to normal, not everyone can make it to every gig or has that chit chat or the means or accessibility and stuff. So it's good to kind of keep going. We are going to get together and we're going to have a chit chat about poems, and we're going to set some interesting challenges. The whole show is going to be hosted by Katie. She is going to be running it.
Mark was outvoted.
The reason this has come to pass is because Bex is producing it and she decided, so that's how that goes. So it's going to be Katie every 2 weeks. Ladies' night. Maybe there's a spin-off in the works.
Yes.
She is going to lead us through some chat about spoken word, poetry, and we are going to set some challenges. So we're not going to get too in the weeds just now, but there's going to be ways for you guys to get involved. I would suggest signing up to the Patreon, because there's going to be some cool perks for the patrons to kind of get involved and get included, and you're going to have a say on what these challenges are. They're not all going to be about form. That's been a very strict way to do it. We're going to lean into a bit more of the wild and the whimsical, but we're going to give a big rundown of how it's all going to work when we debut it 2 weeks from now on the 23rd of May. So that's going to be very cool. Or
Yes.
Yeah,
something like that. 2.5
Yeah.
in a period of time. If you want to keep up to date with when you can see it, well, the best way to do that would be to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to follow us on your podcast platform, or to hit us up on any of the social media things like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that jazz. You can also sign up to our newsletter, where you get, links to everything and all the sort of big updates on what's going on with I Am Loud Productions. You can also check out our website, iamloud.co. Go and check that out. It has everything up there.
.co.
Yeah,
Not
.co.
.com. Not
CO.
.co.
So do all that and keep up to date, because we're going to be giving you more updates as we go forward. But we're very excited to continue this in some format. Let us guys know what you want to see on it, because we're still putting together the happy hour. If there's specific things you want to see, then do let us know. Keep sending us your poems and we'll keep putting them out on the show. It'll be a lot of fun. Guys, are you excited for the happy hour?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have waited for you to tell me that I get to host my own thing for 6 long years, and I now have a little baby of a show that I'm just gonna shenaniganry all up in here.
It's a show designed for shenanigans. And
It's gonna be
like,
great.
and
We wanted to do this show, but not have to drink coffee and get to drink wine.
yeah, replacing it
Basically what
for
we wanted.
beer. Or
I did
alcohol or
mention
wine.
the main component is the booze, so that'll be fun.
Yep.
We're switching from a mid-afternoon National Poetry Writing Month podcast to a Loud Poets Happy Hour evening having a beverage podcast.
To be
That's
fair,
gonna
our
be exciting.
behavior in the morning is fairly unchanged from our behavior at happy hour. So,
Oh, I can't wait to write my overly sexual sonnet about alcohol now.
oh no, what have
Thanks.
I
So,
signed up for?
I think it is going to be a lot of fun. We're very excited to have it going forward, and we're going to be producing, a bunch of other stuff. Continue to check out the channels for our live event videos. Hopefully, we're going to have some announcements in regards to live events coming up in the not too distant future as the world returns to normal. If there's a fringe, we'll probably be doing something. So, like I said, go and check out all our various, social media and the newsletter and stuff if you want to keep up to date. Thank you so very much for checking out the NaPodcast. A huge well done to all my fellow loud poets for absolutely smashing National Poetry Writing Month. This has been a wild ride. We love you guys so much, and we will see you very soon. Everybody, say goodbye.
Bye.
Why is she hosting?
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate it if you could hit the like button, if you could hit the subscribe button, and make sure to ring that bell icon so you don't miss any updates from us in the future. If you want to go that extra mile and support us a little further, we do have a Patreon channel with loads of exclusive goodies, and you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate your help, guys, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.